Hi, it's Glenn again with another talk about the English language. And today I'm going to talk about the degradation of the English language, and in particular about three aspects of the speech of young people that is really degrading the language. People often talk about the dumbing down of the language, but the term dumbing down is itself a degradation of the English language, because people know that people aren't going to understand the word degradation, so they have to use the word dumbing down. Now, the three elements of young people's speech that I'm going to talk about today are uptalk, the use of the word like, and creaky voice, also known as vocal flair. So, now I should mention that this isn't just young people that use these three elements in their voice patterns. It has begun to spread to the general populace, and particularly to parents of teenagers. They pick up their kids' speech patterns. So the first one I'm going to talk about is uptalk. Uptalk is when you state statements as questions. So you go up at the end of your voice instead of down, even though you're making a statement. For example, if you said something like, "So I went to the supermarket yesterday and I bought some yogurt and I really like it." Well, are you asking me or telling me? Because you sound like you're asking me, but you're actually trying to tell me. I'm sure this is a result of lack of self-confidence on the part of teenage girls. This is how it originated. They have so little confidence in what they're saying that they need to state it as a question so that they're not questioned about it, actually. And then this kind of speech pattern spreads to everybody, so even people that are confident in what they're saying start to speak this way. And for example, there's a director at my work who I know actually does have teenage daughters, and he's clearly picked up their speech patterns, because he'll say things like, "So this is our plan, and we're going to do this going forward." And I want to say to him, "Are you asking me or telling me? Do you realize how much you sound like your teenage daughters?" So that is uptalk. Please don't do this on a job interview, because if you do, you're going to sound like you have no self-confidence in what you're saying, and you're likely not to get the job. So really, if you do this, you should really concentrate on going down at the end of a sentence when you're practicing for a job interview. Now, the use of the word like. Like is used now to mean so many different things. It has replaced so many different words in so many different ways that its use has become so pervasive that the average teenage girl is saying the word like every second or third word. For example, it can be used to mean the word approximately. So instead of saying, "He's about 13 years old," they'll say, "He's like 13 years old." It can mean also the word said. So for example, whereas I would say, "I said, where are you going?" Then a teenage girl might say, and I'm like, "Where are you going?" In fact, they tend to render monologue as dialogue. So instead of just explaining what they mean, for example, I would say, "He says he's going to Denver tomorrow." Teenage girl might say, and I'm like, "Where are you going?" And he's like, "To Denver." And I'm like, "When?" And he's like, "Tomorrow." So you see how long this takes instead of just saying, "He's going to Denver tomorrow." 5 words. So like can be used to mean approximately and to mean said. It can also be used as an So whereas people of my generation might say to pause, to think, then a younger person will say like. I'm like going there like Friday. They're just using it as a pause. And then the word like is also used to mitigate what you're saying. It's clearly, again, a lack of self-confidence, and people are using it as a way to mitigate what they're saying so they won't be questioned on it. For example, saying something like, "He was like angry what they're saying is he was angry, but if you say he was angry, somebody might question you on it. So if you say he was like angry, then you're less likely to be questioned on it, because you could say, well, he wasn't really angry, he was like angry or kind of angry. So like can also mean kind of. So as a result, you get like every second or third word. I mean, I've actually heard conversations on the subway in Toronto, such as this one I heard last year. He's like living like downtown like. What? Okay, so the third aspect that I was going to talk about of speech patterns of young people these days is creaky voice, also known as a vocal fry. This is where you go really low in your voice register and you start croaking. This is almost only done by young women, and especially done to express disgust, especially disgust with emphasis. So they will be talking in uptalk and going up like this, and then suddenly they'll go really low and creaky, so their voice sounds like a frog. So an example might be, and he was like so angry. They tend to do it at the end of sentences. I saw a study that showed that something like 75% of female college students in the States use this vocal fry in their speech. So if we put all three elements together, we can imagine a courtroom scene 15 years from now where the defense attorney says to the judge, so like, Your Honor, like my client is like innocent, and like he is like, you can tell like he's like innocent because like look at his face, it's like so innocent. So like I think like Your Honor, like you should let him off. The scary part about this is that 15 years from now, this will be considered an intelligent argument and is likely to win the case.